Yeah, the Rainbow Warrior Sonico here. Welcome to Lak'ech. This is a video blog that talks about shamanism, magic, visionary art, sustainability, community building, and the co-creation of the most beautiful world we know is possible. Today, I'm on an interview with a dear friend. His name is Yoshi Pantera. He's part of Seeds Transcendence, an organization that is creating series of events to bring together like the awareness, to bring awareness for people about sustainability, nutrition, spirituality, and mainly providing the time and space for people to experience this firsthand, to come together. I'm going to be there joining them this next week on a 3-day event, sharing cacao, music, and a workshop about ancestral wisdom. And we are talking today about the kind of things that inspire us to do this kind of work, and especially about what is to come at the Seeds Awakening. So stay tuned, grab some popcorn, lay back, and enjoy the interview. Huyayay. Hello everyone, this is Yoshi Pantera live in our new way of life, regenerative culture. So this is happening every Friday. We're gathering together with different communities and learning to be community, learning to become self-sufficient, learning to communicate together. And very soon, we're going to be having lands, different types of land. There are already lands, and people want to build eco villages, retreat centers, tiny home communities, you name it, everything within community and learning to become self-sufficient. Why all this is happening? It's because we're in a moment in time that we need to understand our reason of existence, our potential, and just come together to really live the life that we want to live, create the reality we want to create. And this is happening with Seeds Transcendence. That's one of our projects that we have with Paula and a few others. And in Florida, we're going to be creating Seeds Awakening, a series of 3 events of 3 days each in Central Florida in 3 different lands from beautiful people we've met. And on these lands, we're going to be executing these 3-day events of community lifestyle, regenerative culture lifestyle. And as a special guest, we have a beautiful brother from Ecuador that is currently living in Canada. His name is Sonico Waida. I want to welcome him with all the love and all the heart because his presence is going to help us boost the understanding of connecting with our spirituality, connecting with ourselves, and from there, taking radical action to really start creating the lives that we want to create. So thank you, Sonico Waida, for being here today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, brother. It's an honor. It's really a pleasure to be here having this conversation, sharing more about what we're passionate about. I can just feel your passion and the love that you pour into everything you do. Every time I see your smiley face, it's like love it. He is living the dream. And it was me. I love to have these opportunities to share this beautiful dream that I'm on too. So I'm very stoked to share this conversation, my friend. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Now, so as a spiritual leader, you've taken a path of Andes Cosmovision. What position do you feel like where you are right now? I know you has taken few years, about 10, maybe over more than 10 years. A little bit about your experience in as a spiritual leader to now choose to be a spiritual leader. So the question is, how did you understand that you are a spiritual leader now?
Thank you. That's actually a great question, because that is something that we only can come as a personal realization, as well as the acknowledgement of the people that accompany you. You know, it just has these 2 components. I fell in love to the path of indigenous spirituality back in 2003. Was the first seed that was planted in my heart about this. Then in 2004, I did my first vision quest. I went all the way to Chile to sit in a mountain for 4 days, 4 nights with no food, no water. And this was the first, I would say, the first glimpse of wanting to walk on this path. ever since like that, but my heart was so certain that like I just love this path so much that I continue, one step, two steps, three steps, met my first mentor, continue, met then another wisdom keeper. Then I came to Canada. I had the honor to live with an indigenous family, traditional indigenous family from Canada, like same as a spiritual leader of that tribe, with whom I learned so much, especially about the cosmovision of the people up here. And it was amazing the way that I was connecting first to the path of the spirituality of the North, that it opened such a strong connection then with the Andean cosmovision, with the Andean path, which is like I was born in Ecuador. I'm an Andean man, and it just made so much sense. The moment that I actually had this opening, like I would say this understanding of how to look, how to invite this wisdom to my life. For a very long time, it's been just a personal path because I've been in love of just with the idea of becoming the best version that I can be. And that's what's been the motivation in the early stages of my journey. Just, I want to be the best human that I can be. I want to remember what it means to be a human on earth. And I like to just express myself this way. Couple decades later, walking on this path, now I'm in this place where I'm assuming, like where I'm stepping into the role of a teacher. And the path and the tradition that I walk in order to go to the next level of evolution, it's very important to start now like teaching what we've learned. Because when we teach what we learn, we take that knowledge that we receive and then we process it through who we are. And as we bring it out through our own words, our own experiences, now that becomes wisdom. That is just the wisdom that I possess that has come from my path. Now, in these days, and after like being in countless ceremonies and countless experience that with nature, with different other people, and especially elders that also have acknowledged that I'm on a path. And especially, when I live with this family, I remember like just living with the chief. I consider him like an adopted father, And I remember one time that I was just like really messed up, like thinking it's like I just don't know, like like this imposter syndrome. This like I just don't know what am I doing, why if I should do this, not do this. And I remember he's saying like, hey, just you gotta know that you have your own gig. You're here to do your own thing in this world, so don't let anybody in this world tell you what you can or you can't do. You just go on and be you, because there's no one else in this world that can fill that place but you. And ever since now, I'm very passionate to like do that for others, to like be the cheerleader, the cosmic cheerleader there that is telling you and everyone who comes up across my path, like there's no one else in the entire universe like you. So you better get on board and just be the best you can be. Right?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I appreciate it. And so being so many spiritual paths out there connected to your roots, to the Andean cosmovision, and what makes it different from the other paths, and why, yeah, what makes it different? Let's start from that. What makes it different from the other spiritual paths? Because there's so many now, and some of them might not be the best ones in terms of people having enough experience to become spiritual leaders.
This is very important, like sometimes to ponder about, because as you mentioned, there are so many paths out there, but yet all paths will lead us to the same place as an expression of all that is, that the way I see things, before I go too far with everyone listening to their, like you're just listening to my story. I don't go in there claiming that I'm an expert on anything, and yet I know what I know, and I'm here just to share as a storyteller. So the way I see it, we're all an expression of all that is. All that is, like the one cannot experience itself unless it divide itself. So then we divide into these very unique expressions of individuality, and so then we can experience like the divine wanna experience themselves. And we have this project, at first we want to separate from the divine so that we can experience it, but then as we are here, we also are trying to find the path back there. So as we are doing that, we connect with different sources and different paths that can like offer guidance, can offer like a support. The right, like I myself, from very early age, I've been in love with a spiritual path. But when I was a kid, all I knew was religion, and I was like raised as a Catholic little boy, and all I knew was that my only way to connect to God and spirit was going to church, reading the Bible. And I even used to like open the door to all Jehovah's Witnesses that come my way, just like, yes, please come in, tell me more about God and all of that. Then at one point also I didn't want to like unsubscribe to that. I did unsubscribe because I find that this organization was not very coherent. The teachings that they are putting out were not reflected on the actions that they've been doing for the past centuries. So I was like, no, I'm gonna step out. And then for a little while I tried like the philosophical path of materialism, and so I consider myself an atheist for a little while. And yet I find it that just that action was very liberating. But at the same time, as I was continued to do that, that was actually in one of the times of my life where I was like really hurt. I went just very, very sad. My heart was broken. And in that moment of brokenness, I start like really wondering, is like, what is the meaning of all this? It cannot be that it's just we're here randomly, because that's the materialistic philosophical path. We're just here randomly, like we're like in a blink of an eye, just we live and we die, and that's it, the end of the story. And I couldn't believe that was it. So then when I was introduced to the path of indigenous consciousness, I fall in love, because this path is at the same time that it connects me to spirit and the cosmos. At the same time, it establishes a deep relationship with Mother Earth and nature and everything that keeps me alive. So then I sweet, this is what I want for my life. This is what I want for my children. And ever since, I didn't look back. I just continue to walk this and continue to be open to receive teachings, to have experiences. And nowadays I also open to facilitate these experiences and these spaces for others seeking the same.
What is it that you are helping people with? Like, a lot of people understand that spirituality exists, but don't have a connection with it, and they are separate from the idea of spirituality, like a religion. So if someone is seeking something beyond the physical, right, and remembering that, maybe they don't remember yet, but understanding that we are also a spirit and energy. So, and then they may come across your services. How would you help someone that's seeking understanding? How do you like to help?
Well, to begin, the first part of everything is just to acknowledge that person, acknowledge that they are in a spiritual path. They always have. Like, we are spiritual beings having a material, like a physical experience. So we already are in the path. want it or not. But then acknowledging this yearning, this desire is the first step, because at first, we feel separated nowadays. Most people and more people are going and stepping away from religion because that's a very dogmatic way of approach to spirituality. It's like there's all these sets of rules, and especially most religious are like, very into judging. And then if you don't just like do what this religion tells you to do, then you, like, in the Catholic religion, you go to hell. No, like, no one in their sanity would like to go to hell. But the beauty is, for me, is like, I always had this saying, is like, religion is for people who don't want to go to hell, and then spirituality is for people who already been in hell, and they're like now trying something different. They're trying to like want to open more. So for me, that's why I fell in love with the indigenous path, because I even tried before Buddhism, which is another beautiful path, but I also didn't feel quite resonant with it. I felt there was still some ways that I didn't fully naturally connect it. But then in the indigenous way of spirituality, it's very practical, it's very pragmatical, and there's no like dogmatism, there's no affiliation to any like religion, there's no affiliation to any just, it's not stiff, let's put it that way. So that's how I support people, but first, like, providing a few teachings, a few guidance that help people to realize their own path. Because in this path, it's not about following somebody else's steps. And this path is about like becoming aware of what is your own path. And then my role in all this, and what I'm very passionate about this at this time, is I opened a school. And that's how I support people. I open a school where I provide teachings, where I provide a time and a space for people to digest and integrate and develop these concepts, these ideas into their own life in a practical way. And at the same time, building a community of like-minded individuals that are walking a similar path. Because nowadays, back in the day when I started my journey, I felt like an outcast. I couldn't talk to many people about this. Like, just like talking about shamanism was like crazy woo-woo stuff. And so then I just had to like remain quiet, or like what I did here in Canada, I lived in a forest. I actually hermited for quite a few years because there's no one to talk about this like really in a general sense. And yet now more than ever, people are being open to this kind of teachings, this kind of ideas, this kind of concepts. They are going into the Amazon and to drink ayahuasca. They're going to the Andes to drink Wachuma. They're like inviting all these teachings. They are curious to go and meet an indigenous elder. So now my role here is to be able to facilitate that in a way that it was not possible for me.
Kind of stormy over here. The thunder is coming out. Hey, so in terms of spirituality and becoming a spiritual leader, and what makes you a leader in this moment in time, and offer your services and offer help to people to find their power, to understand the connection and feel the connection with spirituality. And then you're saying practical in the sense that you're taking it into your daily life. And how does this look like if you're sharing this information, or in the school, how does it work? Because let's say I can, like you said, I want to go to Ecuador, Peru, or Brazil, have a spiritual connection with medicine and ayahuasca and wachuma. And how does it connect with you if that's not a service? Like what does, if like a shaman, the picture of shaman that we're thinking is, okay, we go to a space, the shaman gives the medicine, and save the space, hold the space in terms of making sure everyone is not getting hurt. And then and that's it. And there's nothing else. There's no music. There's nothing. Maybe the fire, maybe not. Some people know how to do it. Some people don't. Even it could be indigenous people knowing how to do it, and maybe not, because it's so popular now, the ayahuasca, or the wachuma, or the other medicines, that local people that don't know how to do it. Even international people or foreign people that are taking the wisdom somewhere else, or not even using the wisdom, but more like just taking the medicine and just giving it to people without necessarily the experience. So that's what we think about shamanism also, as people that make themselves believe that they are and they're not. And then there's the shaman that's like the real ones that go out there, they're deep in the jungle, and they have the elders are there, the abuelos are there, and they just have the wisdom from a lineage of life, of existence. And now you're mentioning that you consider yourself a spiritual leader, and you're sharing about shamanism, and you're understanding, and then other people are too, to the point that then it's misinterpreted, and then it comes to, oh, now you can get a certification online about shamanism and all this, and a spiritual leader, and even to provide medicine. So in terms of that happening, in a sense, that's happening. And then there's the other more intense energy that is becoming industrial, and it, like, for example, you can get now medicine for microdose of ayahuasca or San Pedro or wachuma, anything, wachuma San Pedro. But so all of that is happening, and our question is how to clarify that. We want to align with people like yourself that can provide a legitimate information experience to help people. And how does that look like? What's the practice? How do I engage with you? Where do we meet, or what's going on?
Thank you for that question, because what you just said is very important. What we're going through right now is this process of like clearing, like just all these noise that is out there, of all, especially all the opportunists that want to take these business opportunity, and then there, I have nothing against doing business, like I feel like it's part of where the time we are right now. It's part to like be in harmony with what we are going through right now. So nothing against with entrepreneurship, yet integrity is what we're talking about. So like some integrity is required, or like lots of integrity is required for this kind of work. Now, you mentioned this word quite a bit. You say leader, leader. To be a leader, it's not a title. It's not something that it happens just by designation. It's like, yeah, you're a leader. Now just go and tell everybody what to do. Well, no, that's a boss. Like a leader is a frequency, is a vibration. Being a leader is like, it's that person who tunes into that vibration of what it means is like when someone sees that something needs to be done and do it first, that's the leader. The one that sees, that witness, that sees that something needs to be done and go and does it first. And by doing that, inspires others to follow that path, and inspire others to contribute, inspire others to add to that action. That's a leader. So in that fashion, for example, for me, I saw it very important because of what you mentioned, and where we're talking about this this moment where we are evaluating the integrity that is being done in this world. That is very important. Education is what's important at this time, and not just a kind of education that satisfies the mind, but the kind of education that actually comes from the heart. I always tell people, don't believe anything that I say, but listen with your heart. And if you resonate with what I say, then go try it out. Go try it out in your own life, because the only way that these stories will become valuable to you is if you try them out. And then if they work for you, they're not anymore my stories. Now they're your stories. Because as humans, we are storytellers. We need to make stories to make sense of everything that happens around us. But we make stories based on our conditioning, based on the programming that we have, based on our wounds and also our victories. Everything that we've been so far are the filter through where we do our stories. But this only until we wake up, because when we act like that, when we live based on our past, is when we live our life by default. And when we subscribe and just take the information that is there for the general public, let's put it like that. But the person who decides to step on the wisdom path, that's how I call it. The person who decides to step into the wisdom path first have to make this commitment to break out with all these old paradigm, with his personal story, in order to be open to a new reality. So this is the process that we go at first. We educate people, given the tools for getting to have their own experience of this story, of this perception, that they are in control of the stories that they tell every day. They tell them stories about who they are to themselves, who they are to the people around them. And these stories, like I say, when we live by default, are based on the past. And that's why we continue to live the same story over and over and over. We validate the story. Now we want to change that story. And this is the time where we are right now. We're changing these stories. In order to do that, we need to wake up. So then we activate the warrior within ourselves, the warrior that rebels and says no, I'm not going to put up with that anymore. And I'm going to actually follow my heart. And then when we do that, we start actually connecting in a coherent way with our purpose, what we are here for. We remember what we're here for. Then because of there are all these desire now, this hunger, let's say, to go and try all these master plans, which are helpers right now. They're helping people to change this reality in a huge way. But when they don't have the guidance that is necessary, when they don't have a context to do it, the path can get very rough. I'm a believer that these plans will help you no matter what. Even if you have if you judge your experience as the worst experience that you ever could have, still eventually that awful experience will lead you to a breakthrough and will help you. So no matter what, these plans will help you. And yet, if you don't want to go through the rough path, that's why it's the importance of recognizing the difference between a lesson and a teaching. A lesson is when you go and you do yourself and you go and fall and just hurt yourself, and that's how you learn a lesson. And we need that. And yet, when we become a little wiser, then we start recognizing the ones that are going ahead in the path. And when we are walking the path, but they're ahead of us, a little bit ahead of us. So they already did that. They already got the lessons. So now they have teachings to offer us. They can actually be if you do this, just these suggestions or these recommendations, if you do this, and perhaps if you consider this idea, and if you consider here's a concept that can maybe help you, in the spiritual world, especially in the world of medicines, there are protocols that people are not aware, and they step into these ceremonies, and generally there's no one really telling you about these protocols. Most people in the indigenous world, they know, because just that is in their DNA. We just know that there are protocols that we need to follow. So learning and knowing these protocols ahead of time can make that experience way better. And with a little more guidance, perhaps like when we get the right questions, because that's the thing. When we get the right direction, for example, with plants, acknowledging that the plants are living beings that I can communicate with, and I can ask, actually establish a relationship, and then I ask what I need from them. It's huge, that realization. So then you, the next time you show up to a ceremony, you already have had a conversation with that plant, here in your inner world. And then when you go there, the plant all of a sudden won't take you wherever the plant wants. The plant will take you exactly where you ask the plant that you want to go see. So as we continue to going through this process, that's why I created a community. I created a school where, like, right now I'm opening this program called the Chacana. It's a 90-day program where I boil down what I've learned in 20 years. Like, it's in total, Chacana is a year long, but then in the 90 days that is the beginning of the Chacana, the first level, it goes so much into it, because at first we need to break certain things. We need to redesign. We need to open. We need to clear the path so that we can be in alignment with that future self that is living the life that we dream. And then so on, that we just continue to walk. So then from that point on, we don't live anymore based on the past, but we are now living based on our desire for that most beautiful world we know is possible. So then and thereby all our actions, all our thoughts, all our words, all our deeds will be in alignment with that. That's how I help people.
Awesome, man. And thank you, man. The connection between all this, the spiritual realm, and the action of making it happen. And then you mentioned also, you were giving the experiences to people. You go through the process, and then one of them is open the heart, or more than that, it was connect from the heart, or follow the heart. And what does that mean? Like, how can I recognize that?
That right there is huge. We have our heart is not just a pumping organ that just brings blood to the body. That's just one little part of what the heart does. Actually, our heart can generate an electromagnetic field that is way bigger than the one our brain does. That's when we are in a coherent, when we work into being coherent. And then when we work in coherence, mind and heart, it's huge what we can accomplish. But now, here's a beautiful thing to ponder, to just really reflect about. We are children of spirit because we are spiritual beings. And then we are children of the earth because this vessel that we inhabit in this life was made of earth. And the union of heaven and earth happened in the heart. So we humans are the highest expression of this marriage of the physical and the spiritual world. And when we awaken to our divine nature, it's unbelievable what we can do. Especially when we come together, miracles can happen. We've seen it. There are many stories out there that really show what I'm speaking about. And now is the time for, if everyone watching this, if this feels like a call to you, now is your time. You are listening this because that's your time to just find out your own divine nature. Yeah.
So how in the heart, how does it feel? Does it feel like I want to follow my heart? Okay, I know there's an electromagnetic field, vibration, and then it says follow my heart. Like, do I follow everywhere I go and start feeling the heart? How would you describe, like, is it follow the heart or listen to the heart? Like, how can I recognize that?
Well, there is a prophecy that really guides most, that has inspired me to do everything I do. And it's an ancient prophecy that's been told in this continent for a very long time. Is the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. The prophecy says that when the eagle, that represents the mind, that represents also the people of North America, fly again with the condor, which represents the people of South America. In this case, it represents our gut intelligence, because we have three brains actually. So our gut intelligence is our like animal intelligence, is our instinct. So in order for us to be coherent in our heart, we have to have an alignment between our instinct, like what it feels good, with like the right thinking. And then that gives you, like from this level down, we are based on feelings. That's what the animal part of our existence, it's about feelings, our senses. So then we go by it feels good or it doesn't. Then our like higher aspect is our thinking. It's like we have this capacity to think, to create, to imagine things like that we have a capacity that no other being has, really, in terms of our brain capacity, in terms like that. So when we both line up with this, it creates what we call emotions, and emotions are literally energy in motion. So when we are identify what emotion we are experiencing, that's something that it's very important nowadays. We are not taught that in school, and it's called emotional intelligence, like to recognize what is the emotion you're experiencing. So when we recognize what emotion we're experiencing, and it's when we have that insight, is this my heart? Is this like, does it feel good? Like, does it feel in integrity with who I am at a more like primal, like just connected level, Because then when we, for example, live from over here, and then the ego also, the ego, I'm not the kind of person who says like, we have to like kill the ego. To me, I don't believe that's possible until we actually physically die. So that's why for me, I am a very good friend of my ego. I believe that befriending and becoming allies with our ego is the way to go. Because, whenever like this thing that we're doing right now, it's our ego who has to show up to do this task. So in order, if I want to show up and do a good job, so then I like to, be in a good relationship with my ego and be like, ego, I'll give you what you want. But then when I need you, you just do exactly as I told you. And then that's what happened. So keeping a healthy ego, very important. And then that's just, the rest is like being in tune, like most of the time, when we ask the question, why do I want to do what I want to do? That's going to give you huge insight, because if the answer comes from a place of like, because I love what I'm doing, because I'm passionate about this, because I'm excited, because I am connected to serve, or to like, because I like to see the smile of my beloved, things like that, certainly you know it's your heart. But if you go like, why do I want to do this? Oh, because I just want to be very famous and make lots of money, and like I don't even know what I want to do with that money, but I just want it because everybody wants it. Where's that coming from? Certainly for me, it wouldn't be from a place from the heart.
Cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for clarifying that, because we might forget, some of us humans in the world, about that we have a heart, that we can use a heart, that we can learn how to love and make decisions through the heart and connect with the divine through the heart, and a lot more amazing magic that the heart can make. And so, yeah, thank you so much for sharing today, hermano. We heard amazing music. We went deep into understanding of spiritual leader and shamanism, what spirituality really is, how to connect with the heart. And yeah, this is about us coming together to provide services that have helped us become better, and we can help others too. So we're coming together with Sonico Waira from Canada. Oh, he's gonna fly all the way to Florida, where we are right now in Orlando area, and we're gonna go create an experience, a 3-day experience of living the life that we want to live. Of course, offering workshops and talks, but mainly we're gonna be living in community, creating music together, cooking together, eating together, singing together, and making decisions together too. Throughout the experience, the understanding is to really learn self-sufficient, to learn to be self-sufficient, learn to be community. And one of the details of this is that we're going to have a dry toilets, showers. We're going to be building ourselves. And there also is a trailer. It's full of solar panels. We're going to have all the electricity running the event, or a little stage that we're going to have in terms of self-sufficiency on electricity, and not all the way in water yet, but definitely we're going to have some water, and we're going to have some clean water as well, with just ionized, very healthy water. And in terms of health, and we're going to be having amazing plant-based vegan food. And this is important because coming into understanding spirituality, we want to take care of our body, our health, and connecting to earth. So having a 3-day experience of just letting go of all the toxic types of food, which they're so condimented and all these preservatives. And the importance here is to radically, for 3 days, learn to be self-sufficient, ecological, creating no waste, being healthy, and being as harmonious as possible within the community and also in nature. So Sonico White is going to come in, really covering the area of spirituality, having some ceremonies. We're going to share a workshop as well, some music. Thank you so much, Sonico, for really making that jump from Canada all the way over here. I know you are investing your time, energy, and love for us to have an experience with you. And thank you so much for taking that jump. And I'm sure we're going to collaborate more in other parts of the world, in Ecuador, maybe in Hawaii, maybe in Europe. We don't know. So thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
I super appreciate you too, brother, for everything you're doing. You know, it's not an easy task. Everyone out there, just think about this, you know, like having the passion to sustain like an effort like this, you know, it takes heart. And, you know, I want to acknowledge that, you know, that like your heart is in the right place, and you are doing a beautiful service to the community out there, mainly right now, for now. But this is rippling out, like just like you have no idea, into the whole world. And I love it. It really is a space that also is in alignment with my purpose. You know, my purpose, I just in a clear, concise phrase, it's like to contribute to the expansion of human consciousness. I think we both are in alignment with such a purpose. And these kind of spaces provide the opportunity for us to just fulfill our mission, fulfill our purpose. So I'm very stoked. I'm gonna be sharing a workshop that I call it Ancestral Wisdom for Modern Times. I really want to like just give you a download of everything that can be possible when you invite this wisdom that humanity has known from the beginning of time, and still continue to use. You know why? Because it works. That's why we continue to carry this wisdom. You know, it has transcended civilizations. It has transcended all kind of times and places, and still here. So I want to share it with you. We're gonna share also a magical time. We're gonna have a cacao circle. I love cacao. Cacao is one of those medicines that open your heart, but like just in a beautiful way. You know, who doesn't love chocolate? So we're gonna have a ceremony with chocolate as our main sacrament and with music. So
Yeah, thank you so much. And I want to mention that the cacao that we have is from Ecuador. We brought it ourselves. We're connected with the community in Esmeraldas, is a Afro-American, Afro-Ecuadorian community, and mainly women. And yeah, the cacao is specifically for us to have a ceremony. So it's very well. It's a specific part of the Ecuador with a really fine cacao, so it's gonna be really nice. It's not like really bitter or anything like that. It's just very loving. So
that's it.
yeah.
That medicine is so beautiful. May you remember who you are and why you came here. And I look forward to connect with you, all the Florida tribe. Yeah, and one heart, one prayer. Thank you, Yoshi, my good friend.
Yeah. Gracias, hermano. Thank you. We're very excited to have you over. Basically, next week on Wednesday, we're going to be picking you up from the airport. If you guys want to connect with us and pick Sonico White up with us, that'd be awesome. And then we're going to be heading to the land. We're going to have the event. We're going to be blessing the land before the event and just enjoying ourselves and getting ready for the event too. We're going to be building. If you want to build with us, come check it out. With bioconstruction, learning how to build some self-sufficient bathrooms and showers and all that beautiful stuff. Thank you so much, hermano. Sending love, abundance, and of course some health over there in Canada for you and your family always. And yeah, I'll see you soon next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you too. Oh, yeah.